Welcome to the College Admission TV podcast. Join us for insights from education leaders on today's academic landscape. We are excited to have as our guest Denise Larson, Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management and Student Success at Lackawanna College in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
I do always like to start off with really your personal journey and who are the mentors that really helped shape your path to Lackawanna?
Well, I appreciate that question. It's fun to think about the people in my life that have shaped that. Higher education has been a passion of mine since I entered higher education, and that's really the mentors that shaped me in my desire to pursue the career in higher education. Stem back to two of my professors that I had in undergrad way back in the 90s. Dr. Badami and Dr. Schreiner were both so influential in changing my way of thinking about learning. And I was great at memorizing and, the concept of, I could get good grades, but how did I really learn and how did I challenge what I knew? And so they were huge influences and really challenging my thoughts and helping me to challenge others' thoughts and wanting to give that opportunity to everyone, because I think that sometimes we miss out on what true learning is and what the potential is, what those tools that transcend no matter what career path you end up in. And I ended up in quite a few along the way. All of those tools were very beneficial, and I always keep them in the back of my mind when I have opportunities to be in front of students, for sure.
Well, and one question that seems to come up quite a bit for post-secondary institutions is the value of education. And I'd be curious. I mean, one of those questions that you hear from parents and students, but I do know very often you hear the question, hey, so what's the value of going to college? What's the value of earning a degree, especially at the cost?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very big question, and it's easy to say, go through the statistics of, when you get a degree, you're more likely to earn more money, and all of that is one piece of it. And of course, there are certain careers that if you want to go into, you have to have a degree, right? I talk about, there's a couple of different pieces to looking at that journey in education, where if we have a surgical tech program, you must have a degree to be in that field, and there's requirements, and we can offer that at an affordable rate that you can get in 2 years and start that career immediately following. So being able to talk about it in that way, but then also talking about the experience. And again, it comes back to what I learned from my mentors and my experience is, the degree is one thing, but the experience that you get when you pursue that degree are the things that are going to set you apart from anyone else. So being involved in different activities, and even the way that we teach in the classroom, where it's the hands-on applied knowledge that they're going to be able to use. Again, knowing that more than likely what you think you want to do when you graduate will not be what you actually end up doing in 5-10 years from now. You're going to probably have many different areas, but those tools that you get from higher education prepare you no matter what twists and turns might come your way. So I focus on those tools.
So, how do you compete? It's such a saturated market, and especially in Pennsylvania, especially in the Northeast. So how do you compete for students with so many schools going after similar students or maybe the same students?
Um, Higher education in general, right, regardless of where you're at right now, seems to have that challenge. But I think the thing that makes us unique and stand out, one, our mission, and being that place where we offer opportunities to any student that wants to make a difference, to pursue an education, to have a chance that might not have ever been told that this might be an option for them. So it's definitely being true to our mission is an important piece for us. But I also think that Lackawanna College is big on innovation and even taking some risks, but doing it based on research. So researching what the trends are, communicating with our community to say, hey, what is the need here? How can we help you? And then being able to quickly and we can quickly make a transition to be able to provide those opportunities to our local students, and then even to some students who might want to travel into this area for some of our unique programs. So I think it's just never feeling like we have to be at the status quo or thinking like this is how higher education has been defined, and so we have to stay in this box. No, what is really needed? What do the students want? They want that hands-on. They want to be able to know that when they leave here, they can start a career, and we're going to give them the tools. And while we do that, we're going to do it in a way that is affordable, where they're not incurring a lot of debt along that as well.
Well, I think you all have very unique programs. I mean, even when you look at the natural gas and petroleum degree, I mean, I just know in my experience and in my estimation, that's distinctive, to be able to offer that. And then you have multiple satellite campuses that make it more convenient for students just location wise, being able to travel to these satellite campuses and earn a degree at Lackawanna, because there aren't a lot of schools that offer that.
There aren't. And we have our PNG program for sure. And the need, like we can't keep up with what the industry needs in being able to fulfill the internships and jobs that are needed in those areas. And that's what we're always looking for. What is needed, and then how can we provide that? Some of our newer programs, we've started a robotics program. We're also starting other programs that really focus on, right? We talk about automotive, and there's still automotive programs that you can get at the CTCs, but what about all of these electrical cars? Who is fixing them? And everyone knows that that's one of the hardest things. When the computer in the car goes, that's the hardest part. And so, trying to identify what those needs are, and meeting the students wherever they're at to be able to provide that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So I know that your role today and also in the past has been focused on recruitment, but also persistence. So can you talk a little bit about, recruiting students, and you can speak to this a lot better than I can, but recruiting students is hard enough, but then making sure that you can see those students persist, especially first to second year, but then all the way through to graduation. So that kind of leads me to my question around, how do you define student success?
And truthfully, the persistence piece was the first piece that I really pursued here at Lackawanna College. I have a heart for retention. I don't define student success. That is definitely the answer that I always give when we talk about that. Yes, I know I oversee it, but it's because I know that in order for us to truly help students persist, we can't define it for the students. Each student is unique. So I don't allow for like a cookie cutter approach to any of the resources or ways that we help students, again, through enrollment and the retention piece of it. We want to hear the students' stories, and we want them to also know too, like, it's okay if what you thought you wanted to do, you change your mind, you pivot, like, that's normal and it's okay. How can we help you on your academic journey, and no matter what that looks like? And when those obstacles come your way, what resources can we provide that can help you so you don't get so off track that you're frustrated or feel like you can't do it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. How do you educate families on paying for college? Especially private institution, versus a public institution. I think there are just natural thoughts around that, well, gosh, public's probably a lot cheaper than private, but that's not necessarily true.
It's not in our case. We're definitely not your typical private institution. Again, it's part of our mission to make Lackawanna College affordable to students. And so I educate them on studying that, apply to other places. And I think too, people set, or institutions set, different price points, right? And they can offer different things. But when it comes down to it, we want to do whatever we can to make it affordable. So again, it's not the cookie cutter approach where, our student financial services department is going to talk with you and say, like, what can we do to help you? And we want to make sure you know what all of the resources are to be able to afford it. And we have some really unique situations where we have business to business partnerships where you can earn money at a job and they're going to help pay for your education or pay for it completely. You can't beat that. Like, you're going to earn money to go to college and then get the tools you need to be able to grow in the industry when you leave. So also providing opportunities that even if it doesn't seem like our affordable rate is affordable, there's other opportunities that we can provide to make sure that, you can get those tools to further your career.
So do you have a number of student athletes?
We do. We have about 300 student athletes. Some are commuters and some are residents. They are our primary resident students that are on campus. So we do have the opportunity to have students from all over.
Yeah, and I was just curious because is that part of the driver? Is that part of your recruitment strategy?
It's one of them. It's for sure. And you think about it. Not only do we have athletic programs, but they're competitive. They're fun to watch. It brings that atmosphere. A lot of times when students are looking for that place to go, it's definitely a driver where, like, yeah, I want to be a part of the athletic program there. And we have something that meets like we have a football team that's won the national championship. And we've also, didn't win the national championship, but went to the national championship. But we also have our esports that is winning championships, so it transcends all different types of athletes. And so they have the opportunity for competition, again, but also strengthening the skills that help when you're moving on and going for that career. And even those who don't participate, there's nothing like watching that real competitive football, basketball, volleyball, and even esports. We've invited students to come in and watch competitions for esports as well. So it's definitely an important part of our community here.
Yeah, and I would imagine just from a marketing standpoint and awareness standpoint, I mean, the fact that you've got football and the football team has made it that far, to a national championship, and esports, and then you start throwing in all the different types of programs, and before you know it, you're really starting to realize, okay, Lackawanna, this institution is transformational, and it also offers a lot of distinctive elements to the institution.
Yeah, I think that's something too that we've really been trying to help our community understand, the impact of what we have to offer. Right? And again, it's through opportunities in the classroom, outside of the classroom, in an affordable way, with the supports that can help students persist no matter what type of obstacles come. And it's, we call this like we're part of the Falcon family. And so being a part of that, it definitely speaks volumes. Our community is aware of that. I'm always hearing like, what's new? There's always something new that's happening at Lackawanna College, which is fun, and that's what we want to be. But, we are known across the United States. And there's even, we even have international students that want to come and participate to be a part of what we have to offer. And they know that after graduation, there's a next step for them as well.
So you had mentioned the words meet students where they are a little bit earlier. And so how do you define that and how do you achieve that?
Yeah, so it starts from the very beginning, right? So when we're talking to prospective students, when we're talking to anyone about what we have to offer, we want to create a relationship, right? We want to be that friendly face where if you have a question later on, it's a safe place and that there are no questions off limits, or if there's a struggle, we're going to work really hard to help you. So it starts with just talking to prospective students and building those relationships. And then through our orientation process, and helping to bring in faculty and others and staff where you get to get a little piece of all of what Lackawanna College has to offer in those circumstances, because we know the relationships are what make it feel safe for students to come forward. So we try to remove any barrier that a student might have in asking a question or reaching out for help. And part of that is through the relationships, but we also use technology. We have a platform that we use that identifies when students might be struggling in a class, and we reach out to them. So that way they don't have to be the one to ask a question. We make it so, some might not want to walk into an office, but they'll shoot an email. So they have a network that they can just hit a button. They can send an email to somebody. It allows them to what we call raise their hand in the system to say, like, here's my question. And then they'll get an automatic response, but it'll also go to the department that can follow up and to say, like, did that meet the needs of what you're looking for? And so, we really try to be proactive and reactive and building those relationships and making it a safe place that no matter what you're going through, we want to help you. And again, it goes back to whatever that is for each student.
What I'd imagine too, I mean, being a smaller institution by design, that really helps students feel like they're taken care of. And also, as a senior administrator, making sure that, hey, no student falls through the cracks.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you see this in many different ways, whether it's at one of our satellite campuses, which are even smaller, where, they know so much about every single student and really can get to know them and know exactly, what they need, and really form those relationships, because they're, a much smaller place. But even at Scranton, we try to make sure that there is a connection. So if it's a program, right, they're immersed and create their own little group. So they have each other and they have program staff that are building those relationships. Our faculty are amazing. They have such a vested interest, and they're the ones who are oftentimes connecting them with the resources. And for anybody, again, we talked about the athletes as well, so they have that connection, and they're working with staff and faculty to make sure that, hey, if anybody sees anything or is concerned, we want to make sure that the people who can help them know and can provide whatever services or resources are needed. And those first year students who might not have a connection, they're connected with an advisor right in our student success department, so that they have that ongoing high level support that's needed. And from my perspective, I'm always like, what do we need? Where do students fall through the cracks? What resources do our staff and faculty need to make sure that we can provide those services and resources that make us unique?
So I'm curious, how early do you engage families? It's from a prospecting standpoint.
Mm-hmm. So we try to engage them right from the beginning. And so again, it depends on where and how we are meeting with the student. So one of the things that we've started doing, we have what are called open houses, although what we call them are bazaars. So we have a fall bazaar and a spring bazaar. And the reason we call them bazaars is because a group of falcons is called a bazaar. And it's also because we want them to experience a little bit about what we are before they're even a part of that falcon family. And so in our events that we create for our prospective students, we want to engage with families and let them see and ask questions and challenge us. We want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of what our students want and what the families want. And so we also make sure too that that's a part of our orientations. And providing those parent sessions like Let's Break Away. I've run them sometimes in our orientations too, to try and give them the resources that they need to help their students be successful too. So we do it right from the beginning, and then we carry on. We have a family newsletter that will be going out too, so that we know it takes a village, right? And so oftentimes, if a student doesn't feel comfortable coming to us, right, we want the parents to know where to point them to the resources. Hey, have you gone to the Student Success Center? Have you done this? Right? We want them to know what all of our resources are as well, and to be able to be immersed in that experience.
Well, excellent. Well, Denise Larson, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
I'm happy that I had the opportunity to meet with you. It's been a pleasure. So thank you so much for taking the time to meet and ask questions about Lackawanna College.
Absolutely.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the College Admission TV Presidential Podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll bring you another insightful conversation with a distinguished leader in higher education.